All right, let's jump in. We've got a mountain of research here on supplements. Looks like someone's been doing their homework.
Definitely seems like our listener is ready to cut through the noise and get some clarity.
And it's no wonder, right? I mean, there is so much out there. This stack of info goes from ancient Sumerian potions to, like, the latest marketing blitz.
It's a lot to sift through, for sure. You know, it's really quite fascinating when you think about how long we've been searching for that extra edge, that boost, that advantage. Throughout history, people have been experimenting with anything and everything.
Yeah, like what? Give us the historical highlights. What were these ancient folks cooking up?
You've got notes here about Viking berserkers using psychoactive mushrooms to get into that battle frenzy. And gladiators, don't even get me started. They'd knock back some serious alcohol before entering the arena.
Hold up. Are you saying my pre-workout shake isn't that different from ancient warriors downing mushrooms?
In a way. Although I'm not sure a protein boost is quite the same as trying to achieve a trance-like rage.
Good point.
Though it does make you think, right? There's a connection there to all the modern research on microdosing and its potential impact on focus and maybe even athletic performance.
Wow. Ancient history and cutting-edge science all coming together in my supplement cabinet. Who knew? So what about those gladiators? Drowning their pre-game jitters in booze. That's a hard pass for me.
Yeah, not exactly the performance enhancer we'd recommend these days.
Definitely not for the best, I'd say. So where do things go from there? We've got, what, thousands of years between gladiators guzzling wine and me staring at a wall of protein powders.
Thousands of years of trial and error, experimentation, and let's be honest, a whole lot of hype. But you're right, the real game changer is the modern supplement industry. It's exploded. Think about it. In the U.S. alone, you're talking over 50,000 different supplement products available.
50,000? You're kidding. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's completely overwhelming. I remember being a young athlete, totally intimidated by those walls of brightly colored tubs at the store, thinking, okay, which one holds the secret to, like, unlocking my inner Hercules?
You and every other athlete out there. And it's not just athletes anymore, is it? It's everyone. That's part of the challenge we're facing today, trying to make sense of it all.
Yeah, it feels impossible sometimes, to be honest. Like, how are we supposed to tell the difference between what actually works and what's just clever marketing? And speaking of clever marketing, I have to ask, did you see that bit in the research about bull testicles?
I couldn't believe it when I saw that. You're kidding, right? You've never heard that one before.
Let's just say my knowledge of performance enhancers was more Rocky movie montage than, a deep dive into the historical archives.
Yeah.
But maybe we should leave that image behind us for now.
Agreed. But, it's a good reminder that in this world of supplements, you've really got to separate fact from fiction. Because while some supplements can offer genuine benefits, there's a lot of hype out there, misinformation, even potential risks you need to be aware of.
Okay, so let's talk about those risks. What should our listeners be on the lookout for?
Well, one of the biggest red flags to watch out for is contamination. You marked up those statistics in your research.
Oh, yeah. Not exactly what I'd call light reading. Heavy metals, pesticides, bacteria. It was like reading a report on toxic waste, not something you'd put in your body.
It's a serious issue. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that the supplement industry isn't as tightly regulated as, say, pharmaceuticals.
So basically what you're saying is that bottle of Miracle Muscle Builder might actually have some surprise ingredients.
It's happened more times than we'd like to think, unfortunately. And it's not always about adding things in. Your research even mentioned cases where products were missing the main ingredient they were supposed to have.
Okay, now that's just shady. No wonder it's so important to do your research. Finding reputable companies is key.
Absolutely. And don't forget to read those labels carefully. Just because something says it's natural or organic doesn't mean it's automatically safe or that it's going to work.
True. It's easy to get tricked into thinking that if it's from Mother Nature, it must be good for you, but I'm starting to realize it's not always that simple.
Nope. You got to be savvy. Even plants, right? They can have powerful effects and might not mix well with certain medications, or they could have side effects you wouldn't expect.
So even if a company isn't trying to pull a fast one, things can still get, let's call it, accidentally contaminated just from the ingredients themselves.
Exactly. It all circles back to how these things are sourced and how they're manufactured. Companies that are serious about quality will have strict testing at every step of the way. I mean, from those raw ingredients to that final product sitting on the shelf.
Right. So let's say our listener has done their homework, they found a company they trust, triple-checked the labels, they're feeling good. What's next?
That's where it gets personal. You got to figure out your own needs and goals. And judging by all these notes, I think our listener has really thought this through.
They definitely seem to be taking this seriously, and that's what it's about, right? This isn't just about keeping up with the latest trends or trying to be like some pro athlete. It's about taking control of your own well-being.
Right on. And recognizing that supplements are just that, supplements. They're not going to be some magic bullet. And they work best when they're combined with an already solid foundation of healthy habits.
You're preaching to the choir here. It always comes back to those fundamentals. A balanced diet, regular exercise, getting enough sleep. Those are the real game changers.
Couldn't agree more. Supplements can play a supporting role, like if you need to fill a nutritional gap or maybe enhance your performance. But they should never be a replacement for a holistic approach to health.
Okay, so with that important message out of the way, let's get specific. I know from your research that you're interested in protein.
Excellent choice. Protein is a big one. And honestly, there's a lot of confusion and misinformation floating around out there.
No kidding. I mean, walk down the supplement aisle these days. It's like a sea of protein powders. How's anyone supposed to know where to even begin?
You're telling me. But it looks like your notes focus on one type in particular, whey protein.
Yeah. Keeps popping up. So what's the deal with whey? What makes it so special? So we're talking protein that comes from milk, right? But it's not like I'm just going to start chugging milk instead of my protein shake.
Right. Though I'm all for a good glass of milk now and then. This is a little different. Whey protein is actually a byproduct of making cheese. So you picture that big vat of milk, and as it turns into cheese, this watery stuff separates out. That's the whey.
Aha. So it's like the unexpected hero of the dairy aisle. From leftover milk juice to muscle-building protein powder. Kind of cool.
Exactly. And that whey, which used to be, like, tossed aside, is loaded with protein. And it's really easy for your body to digest and actually use. Then we process it to remove most of the fat and lactose, and bam, you've got that concentrated powder you see everywhere.
Okay, that makes sense. But hold on, even within whey protein, there's all these different kinds. Concentrate, isolate, hydrolysate. It's a bit much, honestly. What's the difference?
Good question. It all comes down to how much processing it goes through. So the most common one you'll see is whey concentrate. It's usually around 80% protein, and it keeps more of those naturally occurring components, like those beneficial whey fractions we talked about.
Right.
Then you've got whey isolate that's been processed more to get rid of even more of the fat and lactose. So that one's going to be closer to 90% protein.
Okay, higher protein content. Gotcha.
And then last but not least, you've got whey hydrolysate.
Hydrolysate, that sounds intense. Like, is that the top of the line super muscle building secret weapon? Should I even bother with the others?
Not so fast. Here's the thing. More processing doesn't always mean better. Hydrolysate is broken down into smaller pieces called peptides, which your body can absorb super fast. But it can be missing some of those good whey fractions you find at the concentrate.
Oh, okay. So there are trade-offs. I get it. So for someone like our listener who's clearly doing their research, how do you decide which type of whey protein is right for you?
That's where it gets personal, you know? You really got to factor in your goals, what you like, even dietary needs, stuff like that. For most people, a high-quality whey concentrate is going to be a solid choice, especially if it's been processed using something called the CFM method.
CFM. You've lost me again. What is that? Sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
Not quite that exciting.
But it's pretty cool for protein. CFM stands for cross-flow microfiltration. Basically, it's a gentle way of filtering that uses pressure to separate the whey protein from the fat and lactose without using high heat that can damage those good nutrients. Okay, so it keeps all those beneficial things intact. That makes sense why it's the gold standard. But what about people who can't do dairy, lactose and all that? Should they just steer clear of whey completely?
Not necessarily. That's where whey isolate can be a good alternative because it has barely any lactose.
Right. Less lactose. Got it. Now, let's say you've found your perfect whey protein. How much should you actually be taking? Is there a magic number?
A good starting point is somewhere between 20 and 40 grams of whey protein. And ideally, you want to have it shortly after you work out. That's when your muscles are primed to use that protein to recover and grow.
After a workout, check.
But remember, everyone's different. Age, how active you are, even how much protein you're getting from food, all that plays a role.
Speaking of age, you just reminded me, our listener mentioned maybe adding protein to their grandmother's diet, something about supporting an active lifestyle at any age. Any thoughts on that?
I love that. It's so true. Staying active is important no matter your age. But here's the thing. As we get older, our bodies don't use protein quite as efficiently to build muscle. So for older adults, especially those who are really active, upping their protein intake can be a really good thing. Helps maintain muscle mass and just overall health.
So maybe aim for that higher end, closer to 30 or 40 grams in that case?
Exactly. And of course, always a good idea to chat with a doctor or a registered dietitian to figure out what's best for their specific needs.
Definitely. Okay, before we wrap up this protein deep dive, we got to talk about those other contenders you mentioned earlier. Casein, that one especially caught my eye. Slow and steady protein, I think you called it. Tell me more about that.
Oh, yeah. Casein is different from whey in how it's absorbed. Whey is like a quick burst of amino acids into your system. Casein is more of a slow, steady release. So it's great for nighttime. You have some before bed. It provides your muscles with a steady supply of amino acids all night long, perfect for muscle recovery while you sleep.
So it's like the all-night security guard of protein, making sure those muscles are getting what they need even while we're snoozing away. I like that.
Exactly. And then, of course, we have beef protein, which is a great option if you can't do dairy.
Beef protein. Not gonna lie, not the first thing that pops into my head when I think protein powder. But hey, I'm always up for trying something new. What's the deal with this one?
Well, it's a complete protein, just like whey. It's got all those essential amino acids your body needs, and it often has other good stuff in it, like creatine, which is great for building muscle.
Sounds promising. But coming from beef, I'd imagine quality is super important here.
You got it. You want to make sure it comes from grass-fed, pasture-raised cows, and that it's processed without too much heat or any nasty chemicals. Transparency is key. Look for those third-party testing certifications. That's how you know you're getting the good stuff.
It's amazing how much goes into it. But that's why we're here, right? Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to what we put into our bodies. So we've covered a ton of ground here. Ancient performance hacks, the science of modern supplements, protein breakdowns. What's the main takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
You've been taking notes, I can tell. Now it's time to actually use that knowledge. Really look at what you want to achieve. What are your goals? Are you getting enough protein from your diet? Are there any nutrients you feel like you might be missing out on? Once you've got a handle on all that, then you can start to see if supplements could be beneficial.
And remember, it's not about following the latest trends or trying to copy someone else. It's about what works for you, your body, your goals, your health journey.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Supplements can be amazing tools, but they're not one size fits all. Do your research, talk to your doctor, and don't be afraid to ask questions. This world of supplements, it's constantly changing. Staying informed is the key to making good choices for your health.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll leave you with one final thought. We talked about using supplements to fill in nutritional gaps, but what if we could use them to do even more than that? What if we could use supplements to actually enhance our brain power, improve mental clarity, even boost our mood? It's a whole other frontier out there, and we encourage you to keep exploring. Thanks for joining us on this supplement deep dive.